So, I guess the new Pokemon game just came out. First thing first, if you're having fun with Legends EA, good for you, that's great. And if you hate it vehemently and want to trash all over Game Freak, then that's great too. I have my own opinion about the game, but that's not what I want to discuss today. So if you're looking for a long rant about how ugly the game is, or how Game Freak is taking their audience for granted, you're in the wrong place. There's already a gazillion videos like that plastered all across YouTube. Now, what I want to discuss is the concept of double standard in game journalism, how it affects game development and the potential reasons behind it. I've been looking up several reviews for Legends EA. I'm not talking about YouTube opinion piece, but rather legit game journalist reviews agglomerated on Metacritic. Here's some example of those. The Sixth Axis, 100%. This is easily the best Pokemon game on the market. VGC, 100%. This is the best Pokemon game in many years. Screen Rant, 90%. Legends EA sets itself apart as one of the best entries yet. Games Radar, 80%. Pokemon Legends EA may not be the perfect open world adventure, but it feels like what Pokemon should have been all along. VG247, 80%. Basic graphics and slightly undercooked mechanics dampen the best Pokemon game I've played in a long while. GameSpot, 70%. Game Freak's decision to overhaul the battle mechanics for the first time since Pokemon's inception is admirable. Eurogamer, 60%. Legends EA is a much more tightly focused and delightfully goofy return to better form. At least, by modern Pokemon standards. IGN, not rated yet. It's not revolutionary by any stretch, but it's really good. I'm having fun. We could finally have a 3D game worthy of the Pokemon franchise on our hands. Now let me ask you a question. Do you see a common theme across all of those? Not sure? Let's get a replay. This is the best Pokemon game. The best Pokemon game. Best entries yet. Feels like what Pokemon should have been. Best Pokemon game I've played. First time since Pokemon's inception. At least by modern Pokemon standards. Now, do you see it? The one thing they all have in common now is that each and every single one of them treats Pokemon like if it was in its own category. It's great for a Pokemon game. And then they rate it, solely compared to the other games in the same franchise without taking into any consideration the larger gaming landscape and how the medium has evolved during the last decade. And that, my friends, is the definition of double standards. So, is that a problem in itself? I mean, Pokemon fans just want to know if it's worth purchasing so that they can get their fix. Well, yes and no, because that leads to inequality and discrimination. Different games get treated differently solely because of their brand. But then, when you try to make an educated decision as to which game to put your hard-earned money on, you look at these two game reviews. How is that fair? And how does this help the casual consumer make an enlightened decision? Well, it isn't fair, and it doesn't help anyone make any decision. It only lets you know how a specific person feels. Now, I'm not here to insult or slander the name of any specific reviewer. I'm much more interested in trying to figure out why they act that way, and I've come up with several hypotheses. So, the first kind of lazy theory is to believe they're being bought by the publishers, those who use their influence to sway the critics' opinion on their side. No publisher I know would ever straight up pay for good reviews, but they could threaten not to give review codes anymore, or stop feeding them marketing material. But honestly, I doubt it's the case here. Pokemon is too big of a franchise for that type of tactics, and I think there are more plausible explanations. Another possibility is they have their own personal bias. They grew up with Pokemon, and they dream of a real 3D Pokemon game on the scale of Breath of the Wild. Hence, every small step towards that good direction, regardless of how insignificant it may be, feels like a personal achievement worthy of celebration. They want the brand to be better, and they're happy with every crumb they can get to satisfy that craving. Even if better for Pokemon doesn't even qualify as good for anything else. The final hypothesis I see is a bit darker. That is, they're simply trying to justify their own addiction to themselves. A large portion of people tend to not think further than their immediate emotions. They feel good, hence it is good. This is one of humankind's biggest flaws. Our emotion can very easily take over our reason. That's why intelligent people so easily fall victim to substance abuse, or in this case, gambling. Games at their core are based upon gameplay loops, a repeated set of interactive actions that react into triggering another loop. The best example of this is the core loop of a Zelda game. You explore the world, find an item, use the item to solve a puzzle and unlock the boss, beat a boss, test your ability with that item, and open a new area to explore. Then, it's rinse and repeat. The goal of a game designer is to create a loop that, despite anything else, will keep you engaged. Pokemon, regardless of its shortcomings, manages to have an incredibly addictive gameplay loop that uses gambling principles to keep you hooked. We, humans, are strange creatures. We tend to love what we don't understand, which makes luck incredibly captivating to us. We are instinctively attracted to what we can't understand because of our visceral need to understand it, and believe that we can control the uncontrollable. Gambling in general leeches on that need. You can't control the cards you're dealt, but you like to think that luck is on your side, or that you're on a roll. Because when you win at a game of chance, you believe you have gained some sort of mastery over the uncontrollable. You can't understand how you won, but you did. So you get a dopamine rush and think the universe is on your side. That dopamine rush, and the need to repeat it, is the basis of an addiction. Going back to Pokemon, its core gameplay loop is quite simple and easy to go through. Explore an unknown area, capture a Pokemon, fight stronger Pokemon, capture that stronger Pokemon, fight a boss with that stronger Pokemon, unlock a new area, rinse and repeat. The one clever thing Pokemon does, though, which makes its loop way more addictive than a Mario or Zelda, is the randomness of each step. In Mario or Zelda, any perfect speedrun will always look the same, because every part of the game has been built to be optimal for the player experience. While a Pokemon run will always be different and take various amount of time, because of the amount of RNG in every aspect.
We actually got pretty bad encounter luck here.
From encounter rates, RNG on the move used by enemy Pokemon, to the Pokemon capture chances. You get that gambling addiction dopamine rush every step of the way. You even start following stupid superstition to try to influence luck. Seriously, without cheating, who here still mashes A and B while attempting to capture a Pokemon even though it literally does nothing in the game code? So, you find a rare Pokemon after running in circle for an hour. Dopamine rush! That Pokemon doesn't use his cheap-ass move. Dopamine rush! You send a Pokeball and capture it after mashing A and B like your life depends on it. Dopamine rush! I think you get the point here. You feel good, hence it is good. I mean, you're not stupid. When you analyze the game, you realize it's an inferior product. But gosh, do you feel good playing it? And just like a gambler or an alcoholic, you feel the need to justify those feelings. Not just to others, but to yourself as well. You can do a fun experiment. Take any adult who drinks casually and ask them if they would mind not eating any carrots ever again. Most of them will go like, whatever, sure, who cares? But then, ask them to stop drinking alcohol. Not for a week, not for a month, but forever. And notice the difference in their response. 90% of the time they'll start getting into justifications. I just drink casually on special occasions. I don't need to stop. Why would I stop? It's not like I've got a problem. I can stop anytime. Why would I stop? It's not like I needed to function or anything. And that type of panicked rationalization comes from an addiction. And that is the same sort of coping mechanism I see in a lot of those Pokemon reviews. So people get addicted to the gambling-based gameplay loop, and they need to find a way to rationalize that by embellishing everything else about the game. It looks great for a Pokemon game. The performance is top-notch for a Pokemon game. The fight system is super original for a Pokemon game. Game Freak is very clever and has developed an extremely addictive product. And Nintendo recognizes that. They don't feel the need to make the games any better, just like a pusher doesn't see why he'd stop cutting his Coke with detergent. And gaming journalists who lack introspective capabilities and objectivity simply need to justify those feelings by any way possible. But that's just a theory. A game theory. The fuck am I doing? So, what does that even mean for the industry? Well, unfortunately, it means that we don't need quality for people to praise something. We only need to make them feel good. Large corporation will prey on that feeling, trying to spend the least amount of money possible to generate the most revenue possible. As long as they can keep you hooked on dopamine, artistic integrity, quality, and passion are worthless. And it will remain so until the people, gamers, and critics become able to self-reflect and ask themselves what they really want this industry to be like. Anyway, I hope this sparks some discussions. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if by any chance this reaches a game journalist, what do you think about this whole topic of personal bias and double standards in game review? Thanks for watching, and see you next time.